Okay, good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone is well. Okay, I've been messing around my chart this morning, so I haven't drawn anything as yet. Yeah, I'm not sure at the moment. It just looks a little bit kind of rangy, doesn't it? Now, we have got some news coming up, and I have picked up an evaluation which I'm going to trade on the NQ. For 10 contracts. So when I do trade it, I'll just bring it into screen and see if it works. I'm stopping trading them generally as a rule. All I'm going to do is whenever we get some news, I'm going to trade them. So it's either hit or miss. So we have got some news coming up. So I've got it on the NQ chart above my head. So as soon as it comes up the news, I'm going to do an OCO order for 10 contracts, 65 points. Excuse me a second. I think you've got to add an invite link. Not. Excuse me a sec. It's all right, I was just replying to Dan. It's all right, I just put a link in there. He messaged me yesterday and he said I had a few people join up yesterday, and I appreciate it, so I won't charge you the $25 a month. So that was nice of him, so I thought I'll return the favour and put him a little link down here. Now, I put Dan's Discord group in a little picture, but I couldn't figure out how to make that picture into a link. If anybody knows, let me know. But I put a link in the description if anybody does know. So, Jan, good morning to you. I just noticed Apex is in some lawsuit with prior colleague concerning. I'm not worried about it, mate. I saw that last night. Apparently, they're making $15 million a month, so they're making an absolute ton of money. It's a civil lawsuit, isn't it? So, for one, I think it'll take. These things can take years, can't they? So I'm not concerned at all, as it's just a civil thing. Loads of these companies have civil lawsuits from time to time, don't they? So I'm not too worried about it at the moment. Karina, I think she was better. Count with other companies. Yeah, just out of interest, I did pick my fund of futures up yesterday. I'm not concerned at the moment. As I say, these civil things go on all the time within companies. They're making a ton of money, so anyway, we'll see. I dare say it's going to take a couple of years. Speedy, how you doing, buddy? Exponential, how are you? Chad, looks like a bigger range. Yes, it's hard to say at the moment. I've got it kind of like that. We had 1, 2, 3 and a triple test. I actually came in the market here. Would I have had a go at that? Yeah, I would have done for sure. 1, 2, 3. It was a triple test. It was a second entry long. Market is open, but the volume's still a bit low. It was a second entry long, and it came down for 6 points. So I'd have got 8 for 3 there, and I'd have been comfortable taking it down there. So happy days. So yeah, I have an evaluation up here on the NQ set ready to go for 10 contracts. I'm going to put an OCO order. I have done a custom for 65 ticks and just more on a stop loss. So I'll put an OCO order in somewhere, and I got 80% off. Yeah, it's about 80% off, isn't it? It's a reset. I think the reset cost me $35. So if you've got any old accounts, you can reset them for $35, and if it does pass, I will. It'll only cost me $85 at the moment. So, Tony, how you doing, buddy? Ryan, how you doing? Yesterday was so boring. Yeah, it was a bit. Let's do it, my friend. Yeah, let's hope so. To be honest with you, Karina, I'd probably blow 4 or 5 or 6 evaluations for every one I pass. So I'd say doing an OCO order is probably 50-50. So I probably have a better chance of passing that than trading it aggressively the way I trade it. So fingers crossed. So that's coming up. I don't know. I know these news. I know when they are. I can't for the life of me. I know CPI sometimes that can be fireworks. I'm not sure about this though as a rule. Does this usually move? It's hard to say really. But the beauty is with the NQ, it hasn't got to go far to pass it. So we'll see. My gut feeling, we're going to have two legs down and push up and break these highs. We are in the middle of an uptrend at the moment overall. So I'm guessing we have a range, break out of it, push up, make a new high. Let's have a look. I'd expect to break these highs. But yeah, someone said I did some aggressive trading yesterday with many contracts. I thought I was using NEVA. Oh, you're kidding me. I ended up in the green. Thank Christ for that. But the account basically blown. They will for sure not accept the payout. Right, don't worry about that, mate. As soon as you can get a payout on that, apply for a payout. Chances are they'll deny it and they'll reset you 8 days. So it makes no difference. So all you'll do is get denied, but don't worry about it, mate. That $6,000, I got aggressive on one of them, went on tilt a little bit, and they refused me. I traded for another 8 days, and then they passed it. Yeah, so don't worry about it. If you ever get into trouble on one of these accounts and break the rules, don't blow them thinking they're not going to pay you. They'll just deny you once, and then they'll reset it. So after 8 days of normal trading, you're good to go. So yeah, so don't think you're doomed. That's the one good thing I like about Apex. They could say you broke the rules, so we're removing the money from your account. I think that will be suicide for them personally, but I do like the fact that even if you make a mistake, something goes wrong, you can still get paid, and they'll just reset it. So first chance you can apply on that account, but apply for it, they'll deny it, and then they'll reset you for 8 days, and you're good to go. Yeah, I've done that before. I think about 100. Was I about $125 away from? Yeah, it didn't give us a setup there. I was about $125 away from a payout, and I wanted to try and pass it. So I thought I'll just go for one contract. That was the plan, and I'd been trading 10 contracts earlier on an evaluation, and I went in for 10 contracts right at the end of the market, and it went stagnant, and I ended up being down $800. I was absolutely gutted. Daryl, sorry, but I haven't said hello to you, so let me just say, Jan, I've said hello to you. Karina, good morning. Speedy, how you doing? Exponential, Chad, Daryl, Ryan, Tony. Yeah, said hello to everyone. So one more tick and we broke the highs. I had a feeling that would break these highs. Overall, we're in an uptrend at the moment, so so if I was looking on the hourly earlier actually, and overall we're in an uptrend. How many days have I got loaded here? Let me just load some more days. 5. Let's load 10 days. Yeah, we're in a constant uptrend at the moment. We're more or less at the bottom here, so I would have said I wouldn't be surprised if we end up at all-time highs by the end of the day. We had a couple of legs down, and that strong push-up yesterday, strong push-up the day before, that big spike down. I can't remember, was it news? And then we went up again. But basically, we're in an uptrend at the moment. So, 2000. So, I would have said I'll be surprised. We've had 2 legs down this morning, a few little retests, and now we're going up. So I wouldn't be surprised if we continued up. We're only a stone's throw away from that. What are we, around about 55, 65, 75, 27, 26 points. So we have got some news at 3 o'clock as well, UK time. I'm going to pay attention to that because sometimes lately we've had some quick moves, and I would feel a lot more comfortable not being in a trade on medium impact news. It's never bothered me before, but over the last few months they have started getting a little bit more aggressive. Paste. So just going to change the time there. So that's at 3 o'clock. And I'm going to change that to amber. So not quite so drastic. So this is coming up first, and this is coming up 15 minutes later. So there is a big bearish bar there. So we are finding some support here. I think it'll break above it. So yeah, I picked a My Fund of Futures account up. As you can see it on there, I picked that up yesterday. Let me have a look at that name. Pradell. Pradell, have I got that somewhere close? My apologies if I haven't. Hello to you. Okay, so we did break that by a couple of ticks. So my gut feeling is this price is probably going to push up today. I don't know. It's just a guess anyway. So so what I will do is just for now is put that. So we got our overnight highs and overnight lows there, up and about there, I think. Just in case this does range. I don't think it will. We're in a constant uptrend, and we have had a little break, a new high, 2 legs back, a retest, and now another move up. So my gut feeling, looking on the hourly, looking on the daily, price is on the move. I think we'll soon we get a big retrace. There's also something that you'll market potential on the recession. You never know. They were talking about recession a lot more last year, like it was an inevitability, and then I don't know. They tended to drift off it. Yeah, you never know, really, do you? I mean, we've already got a try. I mean, that's just a gut feeling. I'm certainly not in the market to go long at the moment. I'm not in the market to do anything. Okay, news is coming up in about 2.5 minutes, so I'm going to get my OCO order ready. So I want a buy
order submitted.
Order. And a sell
Order
stock
submitted.
Order. I've got these up here. A minute before I'm going to bring it in, and we'll just see if we can pass this in one go. I know there's a chance it'll get blown, but it was only $35. So it is an aggressive way of trading it, but it's not as aggressive as I usually trade it. So we've clearly broken the highs there. So is this going to push up some more? It's certainly possible. It's early days yet, and it may fade. It may fade this and come back in, but so time, what's the time? Something's missing on my chart. There we go. Yeah, it takes me a second to zero in on the time, so I like that. So we've got a minute and a quarter. There is, on that NQ, depending on what happens with the news, there's going to be liquidity there and quite a bit down here, and it is very much ranging, so this thing could flush down. So we'll see. Okay, we've got just less than a minute. Okay, so I won't be trading this chart, obviously. It'll just be this. So I've already opened it. Nothing else is coming up bar just this account. So let's see how we get on this. Maybe nothing out. Yeah, that was a possibility, mate. Absolutely. So where are we time-wise? So we got about 30 seconds. So I'm going to pop that there because there is going to be liquidity there. So it may go upwards. And I'm also going to put it there because it could come down. We got 10 seconds now. It may lose, but I'm not bothered. It's $35.
Order filled. Order
not sure
filled.
what happened there. I ended up with $1,000. Not sure what happened there. Okay, it didn't go up enough anyway. I got in there. Yeah, okay, it's up $1,000. So not quite the if that had gone up further, I think that would have been okay. But it didn't work. So let's just get rid of the OCO order. So there's $1,000 in there anyway. So not massive. Yeah, it didn't hit me target. It just got $1,000 just there. But at least I can take this down a bit now. So we've took a third of that off. So if I take off about 21, what was it, 65? So about 40. 44, I think, should do it.
Order filled.
It's late. I'm going to go long here because there may be a trap. Oh no, it's going against me. You wally brain. You idiot. Oh, yeah, how stupid. It's all right, doesn't matter. It's all right, there was a second entry short. I wouldn't have gone short there. So, come on, push up. Come on. Push up. It's all right. I took this one. There's a second entry short there, which is triggered. I only need to get to here, see? So, my guess is it's going to hit that. Go on, push up. Go on, a little bit more. Go on, go on, go on, go on. Don't do that. Because it's triggered that, see, isn't it? Come on, you've only got a bit. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. What do? I've just got to leave it. Oh, it's going the other way. I want to stop that out, see. I think that's more likely to get stopped out. Come on. A few ticks off. Oh, we're a tick away. I can't believe that. I was a tick away there. Tick or two away. How frustrating. It's all right. I thought there's a second entry short there that's triggered. I thought that was going to push up and stop out that bear bar. I was a tick away there. Sometimes, though, I've taken it, ended up losing the account and wish that I should have just left it, but it's trying. Go on.
Target filled.
Go. 3,100, beautiful. Okay, so there's another one passed. So it worked out okay in the end. So there's another one passed. It was worth holding on because it's going to push up and take out that bearish bar, I think. So I shouldn't really trade them like this live on the chart, really, because sometimes it gives a bad impression to maybe newer people, but there we go. Anyway, so there's another one passed. So $30-something. Fortunately, I think I got enough in the bank to be able to absorb a little bit there. Yeah, it did work in the end. See, what I saw there is there was a bearish bar. There was a second entry short, and for me, the price was going up. So I thought it's triggered it. Chances are it's going to push up and stop it out, which is why I jumped back in. So I'm just going to kill the color at the minute. Let me just make sure I've got everything. Trouble is, when you're messing around doing that at the same time, it's easy to make a mistake. So 15 ES 2002 chart. I'm just going to open up a trade just to make sure everything's
Order
opening as it
submitted.
should. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, okay.
Order cancelled.
Okay. So that worked, and it. Oh yeah, just. It's all right. I saw 3,115. Of course, I've got to forget about commissions, but it's over the 3,000 mark anyway, so I don't have to worry about trading that now. My funded futures. So I'm going to let's go for pre-allocation. It's all right. Sorry, I'm talking to myself here. So 2 contracts for that one. 2, 2, 2. And my funded futures. We don't want that anymore. Go for 3 contracts. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. You just check everything's opening like it should.
Order submitted.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you can see the My Funded Futures one there as well. Two contracts, yeah, okay.
Order cancelled.
Okay, sorry about that. I was waffling to myself a little bit there. So I had this earlier. There's always a possibility we having a leg and then push up some more. It would make sense, wouldn't it? We've had this kind of a correction. We've had a break of this channel, push up new high, a correction, a retest, and then a push up. So my gut feeling is this thing's possibly going to push further up. So I'd like to see another leg down to around about this area. So leg and a leg. I'm sitting tight here at the moment. One, because there's always a possibility this could come back into the range. And two, if I'm going to take it, I prefer it to bounce off there. So I'm just going to sit in the sidelines a minute. Something is telling me just to be careful here. And rightly so. On my other chart, it's actually triggered that. It actually doesn't fit too bad, but it's clearly sideways, and that was a good reason to stay out of that. It's stacked up here. That's why I kind of like having 2 charts, because it gives you a slightly different perspective. That looks like a channel, but I'm going to say I'll be amazed if that doesn't get stopped out. It never triggered on here, fortunately. Yeah. It never triggered on this one, which is lucky because I think Thomas Wade would have had a go at that. It actually doesn't look like a terrible trade to take. Really, it's clearly 2 legs back, but it didn't trigger on this chart. Triggered on my other one. Fortunately. So we have got some news coming up now in about 6 minutes, 5 minutes, sorry. As I say, I would prefer to get lower. That bar there was sat off the top for a start. If this is a channel, I would prefer for it to drop below here and then give us something a bit more bullish. But at the moment, it's just a bit stacked up there. So leg, that would be a little better. But I would still prefer it to get some sort of clarification down here. Ben, afternoon to you, my friend. Much wind down your way. It has a little bit, yeah. You got 78. Yeah, of course, it's a little bit more up north. I know Scotland's getting battered at the moment, but yeah, it has been a bit. I know I've got a pagoda down there with some of that wicker stuff on the top, and that's all ripped off at the moment. So whereabouts are you, Ben? Where are you, bud? But I think it's just today, the wind, isn't it? I think it calms down a bit after today, I think. Northeast, nothing. Oh, yeah, okay, I got you. Shropshire, I am. Shropshire. Northumberland, yeah, northeast, isn't it? It's just west of Newcastle, isn't it? Is it west, southwest, west of Newcastle, somewhere around about there? I lived in North Yorkshire for a while years ago, Catterick. My stepfather was in the army, and we used to go up to Redcar and Seaton Crew, which was a couple of coastal regions there as kids, like, and we're going back 40 years nearly. As a young lad, a little one, 6 or 7, I think I was around about then. So we have made a measured move there. It's kind of making its mind up what to do. So it does look slightly bullish to me, because we know we're generally in an uptrend. But with this bounce in here, it was kind of going a bit sideways. So my gut feeling, off Newcastle, yeah, a handful of miles from Scotland, cold and windy, yeah. I got some family up in probably a bit south of you in I think now. Not Hull, it's a bit further north than Hull. Grimsby, I got some family up in Grimsby, well, a cousin up in Grimsby. He's a teacher up there. Strong confirm, uptrend start 23rd. There is a strong confirmation of uptrend starting the 23rd of January. Yeah, see if I look, see that's interesting, that is. But it's still a little bit congested. So I see, looking at my other chart, it doesn't look like a terrible place to go long. We got a touch, and a strong move. That doesn't look like a terrible place to go long, to be honest with you. But one, we got this news coming up in just under a minute. And 2, it's still a bit congested. So it does look like a couple of legs, and it has held there. And it overall is bullish, I think. But I'm just going to leave that at the moment, just because it is a bit too stacked up. Strong confirmation. Yeah, I mean, we've been in an uptrend. If I look on the hourly, we've been in an uptrend for a while now. Yeah, I mean, if I go, that's only going back 5 days. If you go back 10 days, it's double the amount. So, you know, overall, we are up a bit there, up a bit, a couple of legs back and up again, a little bit of sideways. We're kind of picking up a line as well, I think, there. See if this news does anything. Yes, I mean, look, you've got to pay attention to it, haven't you? I mean, look what it's bouncing there as well. Look at that strong move up there, off there. Now, bearing in mind that is the hourly, it could come back a little bit. But we're very close to all-time highs. There's news happening, yeah, it has. So, it is flickering around a little bit. So, that would have worked. I don't think it was a terrible place to go long, but I left it 1 because it is still a bit congested, and 2 because of the news. It's not a huge move. I mean, you wouldn't have guessed there was news there, but, you know, lately, high-impact news does seem to be making a bit of a dent sometimes. So we've come back there and bounced and pushed up. So I would say overall, to me, is moving up. Still, and now we've got a strong pullback. So depending on what you were going for, I don't think you'd have got 2 points out of that. You wouldn't. So if you'd have gone a tick above it, it went up. Well, you'd have got 2 points, nothing more. So, I mean, we could have something like that, couldn't we? If we had something like that, I would be quite pleased about that, because that would tell me chances are this thing's going a bit higher. Okay, so that's going to break down there. So, yes, if you went there, you'd have got 2 points, nothing more. And you probably only got 2 points because of the news, because that little bit of an extra push. Although it didn't do much, it certainly went up a little bit more than normal. Trying to stick to a narrower channels for now. Yeah, I agree with that. Although I've got this up, I'm not automatically going long. You know, my gut feeling we're coming down for another leg here anyway. But yeah, I mean, you know, keeping these channels, you're going to do better by keeping the smaller stuff. If you're a Pats trader, definitely, it's important to get all these little ones. It's how you read what's happening. I mean, we pretty much know whenever we get a break of a channel, we make a new low. Same here, break, new high. We had a channel down there, break, new low. Sort of a couple of legs down. So we got another little micro channel down there with a break and a new low. I mean, there may be a bigger range here. I don't think so. You know, my sort of gut feeling is it's still bullish at the moment. But I wouldn't take a trade at the moment. So we've definitely had a measured move there and some. So if we take that away, what does that give us? So let's remove it for now and again. Sometimes if you're not sure, if you remove everything, sometimes it gives you a better picture. So little channel with a break, 1, 2 pushes through new low. What's happening in Los Angeles at the moment? Anybody got any updates? I've not seen anything on the news. Ever since sort of the Trump thing, I've not seen much on the news about the fires in Los Angeles. Are they under control, or is it still raging? Yeah, I mean the press, well, certainly over here, have been more dominated lately by Trump. We haven't heard much about the fires in Los Angeles. So channel break, new low, channel break, new low. Now what's happening? Let's just this up. I mean, look at this. You can't argue with that, can you? Look where it's bounced. Touch. So it's definitely working up, put it that way. There's no argument. Now, whether it's going to go up from here or not is a different story, but I think if it gets down to here, we've got a channel with a break. We could have 1-2 pushes down. It's hard to know at the moment. Trouble is, part of me thinks we get a second entry short here, let's go short. But the overall is up, and we're getting very close to an area that it may push. So there's obviously that one, where we had a break and a new low. But then there may be something larger. If we can get a leg and a leg up, fading this. Yeah, it's very easy to go in the wrong direction. At the moment, this looks like it's coming down, but the overall picture is up, and we're getting to a point where it's disappointing Trump on not moving the market. Yeah, I mean, he's. I'm surprised crypto hasn't had a quick pump. It's not terrible at the moment. I think Bitcoin's around about $105,000, but see what I mean? We're down here now, so see your post. Let me know. You get COVID, I will. Well, I was just chatting on the on Dan's here. I'll show you. Just chatting on Dan's. Where was he saying? Excuse me a sec. 1 second. No, Dan was saying the peak of COVID, he was taking no more than that, but he was averaging 3 trades a day. So I just said we need another COVID. If I catch it, I might start licking faces. I mean, it's terrible, really, isn't it? But, a lot of people lost their lives, but the markets just seem to... excuse me, just 1 second. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. Okay. Righty tighty, let's have a look. So that is working up absolutely lovely. Touch, 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 touch. Let's see what happens here. See if anybody else is paying any attention to that whatsoever. See, Mac doesn't pay much attention to this, and I don't kind of understand why. We've had a touch, a perfect touch, 2 bounces, and we're here at the moment. Yeah, yeah, he's got a point there. So I put that there. He said, I don't trust previous days. PA like that, though, can give you yourself a bias a lot of the times. And I put, yeah, I notice Mac never talks about previous days. He doesn't. So perhaps I shouldn't really pay much attention. I mean, put it this way. If you're thinking about going short here, it might just be a good idea to maybe not. I mean, fortunately, there's nothing that looks like a short trade here anyway. But I mean, we clearly bounced here and here, so there's a channel working up, and I just find it interesting to see how we bounce once there and then the second time again. But sometimes when I do this, we seem to smash straight through it when I start to look. So, because 90% of futures contracts are closed by the end of the day. Yeah. See, being a retail trader, you don't get any what I would consider proper formal training. You know, if you work with some sort of investment bank, you know, they're experts in this business, aren't they? And obviously they would teach you the right way of doing things. So a lot of what we learn is sort of, you know, taken from maybe experience and little bits of snippets of, you know, bits of information off other people. But yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know. I mean, all I would use it for is not to go long, but maybe, you know, stay out of a short. I mean, if we had 2 legs up here, you know, there's a channel down here. If we had 2 legs up and a short here, that would probably tell me maybe just be a little bit careful going short into that. But I don't know. I mean, is it reacting to that line? It could be. It's certainly going sideways here. We'll soon find out if we have a second entry short here. I mean, it's broken below there, so technically it's not, but it's still possible to. But if it does push up strongly from here, then, you know, that would make sense. So it'd be interesting to see what happened. If you didn't have this bigger one, you know, you may be thinking about taking a short here somewhere. And I see what he means. He says you may give yourself a bias, and the bias at the moment is not necessarily to go long, but just to stop me, you know, making a mistake shorting into a possible bigger uptrend. Yeah, so although I trade futures, I don't fully understand how they differ from trading things like stocks. I mean, trading's trading. The market does a certain thing, really, whatever it does. You know, obviously stocks, you own something, but with a futures contract, you're sort of buying into the fact that it's going to go up, aren't you? So, you know, but the trouble is, as a retail trader, there's so much, we kind of know how it works. We kind of know how to trade it, but not so much, you know, the nuts and bolts of, you know, the sort of dynamics of how it all works. And you just kind of, you know, sort of pick up bits as you go along. So there's a few bars that have sort of halted and gone a little bit sideways around there. Now that may be because we're kind of close to the bottom. We did there, and we had a pullback. Or maybe it is because it's funny how I had that line there and it's bounced off there perfectly and started to push up. So, you know, I think really, if Mac never talks about this, it's probably because he's not, you know, never paid too much attention. But Mac is a scalper at heart who trades for for 4 ticks. So maybe it's irrelevant, you know, to Mac. I mean, it doesn't matter really. I mean, Mac will talk about not counter trend trading, but if you're trading for 4 ticks, you can, to a degree, you can trade sort of any direction really, can't you? But but if this pushes up, comes back and bounces in, goes up again, then you know. But there is 2 legs up there. There is a bearish bar there, but it's an inside bar, but that one isn't. If we're coming down, there's 2 legs up. So I don't know, maybe people short that. I wouldn't short there because the possibility of a futures you were entering into a contract to buy and sell. Yeah, I kind of understand that side of it. But yeah, I mean, you kind of know what you're risking and what your possibility of making whatever you trade, and price in general. My understanding of price, which I've heard from Matt many times, you could trade. It doesn't matter what you trade. Price action works the same on every chart and on every time frame. The only difference is you would notice if you move the time frames is that obviously higher time frames, you know, price moves a bit slower. Thomas Wade announces the big structure takes precedence. Yeah, so there you go. So we've got 2 completely different opinions there between Thomas Wade and Dan, but I don't know yet. Yeah, look, Ben has got that the same yesterday and today. You can't deny it, can you? So maybe it's worth just, well, I mean, look at this now. So maybe that's what it means by it sets your bias. But we've touched twice there, touch once there and touch once there. Channels keep you out of trades. You should take calls, like you say, smashes right through. Yeah, it's weird how twice it's bounced there and once there and once there, and it visually looks good. We've come off the highs here. We came back, come off the highs here. We came back, and same there. And then all of a sudden, when I tend to look and want to pay attention to it, breaks down. I mean, I could micro adjust this and probably wouldn't matter a huge amount, you know. But I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, we're there now, aren't we? So, but at the moment, this is fitting in a nice downtrend, isn't it? Very nice looking downtrend, actually. And we started kind of looking like we were ranging. Then we obviously had that break out the top, cleared up these, and then from then on, we're slowly working down. So perhaps it doesn't make much difference. Maybe it's good to be aware of it just to avoid a short into it, but, you know. I think it's good to be aware. It doesn't harm, does it, to, you know, just to be aware of maybe a bigger picture. Maybe it does affect your bias, I don't know. A lot of these things you'll pick up over time, you know, with experience. You do something enough, if it doesn't bear any, you know, doesn't bear anything on any of the decisions you make, you may start looking away. As I say, I used to have the NQ right next to me on one side and the ES, and I liked it initially, but what I found is if we had a nice setup on here, but it didn't look that good on the NQ, I was missing out setups here, and then this would come down lovely, and then the MQ would start to follow. So I took it off in the end. You've got to try these things sometimes just to see if they do sort of bear any impact on you. On your trades. But we've got a touch there, a touch there, a touch there. You know, we've had this channel down and a new low. We did have a little bit of a pullback. It dropped again. Another pullback, dropped again, and up to this line. So at the moment, I think the overall, in the short term, is down at the moment. We are bounced a couple of times off that midline. Whether that'll make a difference or not, but who knows. That's the trouble. If you don't have any formal training, a lot of what you pick up is sort of second-hand knowledge. But I think ultimately it's more important to just know what you're trading. Ultimately, it's about, one, being able to read the markets, and two, risk management. If you know your risk, that kind of takes precedent on anything, really. Obviously, making sure you're keeping out of the way of any type of news that may come out. But if I know my risk, I know my... you know, my drawdown, that ultimately, You know, the rest is irrelevant to a degree. I keep thinking the side so I can see both charts moving together. Yeah. I mean, if I was taking a short trade here and it looked nice and bearish on the NQ, I would take it. But a couple of times, and I found it was happening quite often, that I would take a short here when the NQ was still pulling back to there. Do you see what I mean? So they were kind of overlapping. One was going up a bit and the other was coming down, but overall they were coming down. So I found it spooked me a little bit and I was missing out on trades. So that when I took it away, you know, it was kind of like having a crutch. You're never going to be able to use your leg by yourself if you're always using a crutch, you know. I think sometimes you've got to get rid of your crutch and sort of step out into the open by yourself. And so I got rid of it in the end. In fact, sometimes on my stream, I had two charts side by side. Yeah. But I did find I missed out on some trades. Okay, so we're going a little bit sideways here. We've bounced a couple of times off that EMA. So I wouldn't take a short here. We've come off the top and we haven't come down to the bottom. You know, we've dropped down at the bottom here. We've dropped down at the bottom again. A couple of legs up and down again. But it seems to be finding a little bit of support on this midline. So whether it'll push through or what, but I'm just sitting tight here. These are the types of times where I expect a break. I'm also going to pay attention to that as well. Once, twice. We may get a triple test here. With the possibility of pushing down maybe out the bottom of here. Who knows? Yeah. It's definitely playing a part, isn't it, that midline? Whether it's the midline or whether it's the top of that, either or, I think they're both around the same area. So going short just yet, I would prefer really to get a bit of a run up. In other words, a couple of legs up to here, then we've had more or less a triple test. Then if we can get a nice second entry short and a couple of legs up, then I think it may pick up some sellers to push that below this. But at the moment, it's okay. We've got through it. All being temporarily. Yeah, I know it's a bad idea to have the NQ, but I think what you've got to do is if you see a solid setup here, regardless of what the NQ's doing, as long as the overall's the same, I think you've still got to take it. But I always looked left to the NQ before I took a trade, even though I could see they were both generally in the same direction. But as I say, sometimes the NQ was pulling back to the light. In fact, when I'd gone short here or was looking at a short here, often the NQ was already been up here and was pushing down, and once the NQ gets down to these bottoms, it's usually when it comes back, and that's when I was looking to get in a trade, and sometimes the trade worked and the NQ pushed further down. So I just found it just took me out of some good setup, so I got rid of it in the end. But we've got to try these things. You know, I think as a trader, you're always looking for ways to improve things, to make your decision making better. You know, you can never have enough strings to your bow. I think sometimes you probably can, sometimes too much information, and you know, I mean, I've been accused in the past of looking into things a little bit too much. So I think sometimes when you're learning a trade, you go from being careless to a bit overcautious. It's certainly a better side to be on the overcautious, but I think at some point, you know, down your trading journey, you kind of find some nice balance. So we have managed to push through that. Panic. I don't like the sound of that. What does that mean? Panic. Why would you have a bit of software that says panic on it? That's not what you want. Okay, it's back open now. So I did have a little look at the daily earlier, and we could have a pullback. This is the daily here. We've had kind of these pushes back in. We've had a strong move up. We're very close to all-time highs. And when we pushed up a while ago, we had a pullback before we pushed. So I wouldn't be surprised if we had a pullback here. Is this losing a bit of momentum? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We're not far away from all-time highs. So, you know, this may have a little bit of a pullback. It's certainly possible. I mean, that obviously didn't push back, but that rocketed straight up there. A little bit of a pullback there, and then eventually. So we certainly could have some downwards before we push up again. I don't know sometimes if I look a little bit too much into these things. But you kind of do what feels right, don't you? Trading. One thing I've learned about trading over the 4 years I've been doing it is a real skill that takes a long time to master. I mean, some say you may never master it and that. So it's kind of a skill stroke art form, isn't it? I would like to have 2 legs up to this area and maybe have a little bounce. Because we do seem to be losing a bit of momentum. If we are coming down in this channel, we do seem to be pulling away from here. And often when we do that, we usually get a break. Now, assuming this is a channel, I don't see a problem with it. We've touched 3 times beautifully. You know, it visually looks okay. Listen to David Paul's video. Yeah, he was a Royal Marine. He's a British guy. He was a Royal Marine. In fact, I was watching him the other day, and he said, what did he say? If you, instead of putting your order where you put it where you think, wait till it gets stopped out and then drop in your order. Yeah, something like that he was saying. But yeah. Yeah, I've watched him a few times, actually. He's got some interesting stuff to say. He's quite a switched-on character, isn't he? But yeah, I've watched a couple of his lectures online. I forget what he said. Did he say, instead of putting your order where you put your order, put it where you... I don't know, put it where you think the market's... I'll wait for it to get stopped out and then put it or something, I don't know. Something on the lines of that. So yeah, I am aware we may be losing a little bit of momentum here. So I'd like to see a couple of legs up. Put it where you stop. That's it. Put your order where you stop would go and see how many times it works. It just goes to show he's just obviously picking a point of where I suppose inexperienced traders tend to do. But as an inexperienced trader, you can't help but get better looking at the markets every day. It's a physical impossibility. You can't not improve by watching the markets every day. You start to, the markets have a certain way they work and a certain pattern. I'm a great storyteller. I'll take that as a compliment. But yeah, I mean, as hard as trading is, the more you sit here, the more these things that I notice, these smaller channels, what I call more of a double width channel as opposed to that being a single width. Often when we get a push up, we get a bearish bar which finished very close to its lows. If you just bought there, 8-tick stop, 8-tick profit, it just works. Work there, eventually work there. But if you ever notice these channels, just pay attention to them. And I just noticed, it was just something I was noticed. There's another one that's working up there, what I call a double width channel. That's working beautifully. Even if you ignore that one, That one I wouldn't bother with because it's not on its lows. That one, if you bought there, 8-tick stop, 8-tick profit, push straight up. They work really well there. 8 ticks and 8 ticks is kind of a 50-50, isn't it? So you've only got to win more than half of them. You know, we had a pullback there. Did it come back 8 ticks? Probably not. But it worked. But it's surprising how many times those things work. Same again there. Not as quite as bearish as I always like, but really it's just a small pullback within a tighter range as opposed to, you know, a bigger pullback in a wider range. Is he dead now, is he? Oh, no. I know Mark Douglas is no longer with us. In fact, thinking about it, one of the lectures I looked at, it must have been, it's got to have been 10, 15 years ago, I would have said, you know, by maybe even a bit more. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, Mark Douglas isn't with us anymore. So volume's definitely low today. There's just not a lot of movement. Died suddenly. Did he really? 69. So he was an ex-Royal Marine, so he looked like he was in relatively good shape, but you never know nowadays, do you? Tom released a video when he died. Did it really? They were quite close. No, I never know. 60. So how long ago was that then, Tony? Do you know? Al Brooks will live forever. Yeah, he does. He looks like one of those guys that's going to be walking around at 100, doesn't he? He's got to be getting on now, isn't he? He's got to be in his 70s, Al Brooks, isn't he? You would have thought. Worked out every day, never missed a workout. Yeah, he came over as that kind of guy, you know, any ex-Royal Marines usually, or any ex-serviceman usually, well, I don't know, sometimes, you know, I've known some who've let themselves go a bit, but, you know, some people are just focused like that, aren't they? Not long ago. Not long ago. So there is a possible second entry short here. The fact that this is coming away from the bottom of this channel is leading me to think the market's doing this. So I'd be looking for a possible short off here, depending on what I can see. So it is a second entry short. You can say it's off the key entry point, but the fact that we're doing this is making me a bit nervous about that. So I'll be leaving that alone. Now, sometimes it'll just work anyway, but and it is, but I'm staying out of it. They make me nervous when they do this. A lot of the times it leads to a break. I mean, it has worked. There you go. The videos were shot during that. Oh, I got you. Don't know if anybody's took that. I can't see anybody that's taken that. I stand by leaving it. It's a little bit sideways here and we're coming off the bottom. That to me is giving me a few warning signs that just to be careful. A second entry was a bull bar. Was it really? It was actually not a bad looking bar there. It does look like it's working. Yeah, Dan's saying pretty congested. I mean, sometimes they work anyway, but you know, you can't argue with the fact that one, it is congested, and two, we are coming away from the bottom here. But it has come off, you know, this area here, so maybe it was destined to work. But I'm still glad I stayed out of it. Yes, it wasn't too bad here. It was actually on the EMA, but if it's a good enough, you know, if we come off the bottom here, you know, from this area, then I'd have had a go. And it clearly worked. Obviously, there were some sellers there. There's no argument in that. So, I don't know, a little bit congested, coming away from the bottom of fraction. Sometimes you've just got to, make your decision and stand by it. We are finding a little bit of support here, but I'd have preferred a break and then something a little bit. I can't tell you how many times I've taken that trades like that when we're coming away, and that's how I learned not to, to get a lot of, stay out trades. When it starts to come away, we'll come off the top and we're struggling to get down to the bottom, and it's coming further and further away. And I talk about it all the time. Often that leads to a break, and sometimes it starts with a trap. We trap shorts, push up, stop them out, and then end up, testing this area. So it's one of them things anyway. Sometimes I just, even bad positional trades work sometimes. Inside bar, they're not looking particularly interesting, still worked. So I didn't have a good signal bar on my other chart. There was nothing there really anyway, which is usually the way around. I tend to get better signal bars here. Still coming away. Yeah, so that's Dan's chart at the moment. So he's still looking at the same thing. He hasn't got a good signal bar anyway. I wonder, would he have taken it if he did? But you can clearly see it's coming away. So that always says you build up experience by losing trades. And trades I've taken when they've been doing that before often lose. So I don't take them anymore. Sometimes they just come down. It's kind of just how it works. But just because a trade works doesn't mean I should, get into it. Now, when it does come away from the bottom as well, there's always a possibility we may end up having something like that. So we got that initial push down, and then we're coming out at a less steeper angle. Mark, how you doing, buddy? We're coming out at kind of a less of a steeper angle, so that's sometimes a reason for that. But at the moment, it's not working great. So I was aware of that when I was looking at the trade, but I'd have preferred this to have a break here. Yeah, if anybody ever hasn't listened to, is it Mark Paul or John Paul? What's his name? David Paul. If anybody hasn't watched any of his videos, it's definitely worth a watch. He's quite a switched-on guy. That's him there. He's a British guy, an ex-Royal Marine Commando. He's a very, very switched-on guy, but so that was made, well, it was posted 5 years ago, whether it was made 5 years ago, but yeah, have a look at some of his videos, listen to some of these talks. Really interesting, really informative. Really, I think sometimes it's good to listen to people like this, and it does help your psychology sometimes. It helps you get into a better frame of mind. Sorry about that. It's good with basic trading stuff, charts, pullbacks, trends, pop guns, etc. Dan said my bars are quite different than, what did he say? A sec. I think your bars are pretty off for the rest of us. Is he on about the bars or the, because my chart looks the same, doesn't it? That's mine. There's Dan's. Oh, I see what you mean. He's on about the bars. Ah, I thought you meant this, the chart. Thought you meant the chart. Let's have a look. Let's, right, here's my other one. Does that look better? Is that the one with the, I thought you meant me chart because I was thinking it looks exactly the same. Yeah, he's on about the bars. I've got end of day deselected there. I'll tell you what I'll do. Let's, I thought you meant me chart. I was going to say the channel looks exactly the same. Let's just reload, see if that makes a difference. I mean, sometimes they are a little bit, but that's better. That's the same. Well, they're crap now. I prefer them as they were. I wonder if I'm going to get a triple test. Yeah. It's hard to say, really, isn't it? Yeah, he's on about the bars. I think he was on about the chart. I'm going to say, looks all right to me. Trading into support, possibly, yeah. We got like a leg and a leg. I'd like this to break above there, really, before I decide to take a short. See, we're still in this channel. This is a break. So let's have a look. Push up sideways. It's hard to say, really, isn't it? See, there is a triple test in the bearish bar there. I prefer them to break above, though. And it may work. Yeah. I prefer that to push up a little bit, so I'm going to stay out of this. It's clearly two legs, but I prefer them to push up, and I like them to take out a couple of stops. Sometimes they don't, though. We pull down 1, 2, 3. I'd prefer a little break above this, I think, and then maybe a bearish bar, which we may get here. Yeah, never triggered that one anyway, so. There's always a chance that we could get one leg up and a second leg up, and then to have a drop. We'll have to see. Yeah, see, Thomas is looking at that same thing there. He's obviously looking out for the triple test. Signal bar failed immediately. Yeah, well, the signal bar on my chart never triggered, which I think is a good thing. If that I stayed out of it, I much prefer it to push above this and then give us a good signal bar. So there's two things that keep me out. One, we look like we're in a channel. I prefer to come here. So how many days is your PA count on? My PA counts, I'm not sure, bud. I came down a bit from my last payment, so 6, I think. 6 from my last payment. 6 or 7, I think, from my last payment. Yeah, I've come down a bit anyway. My accounts are at $2,200. They were at $3,000, so I'm down $800 from my payment. So they're not in the scope anyway. So I'm not in a rush. My plan is now is not to take anything till, you know, the end or close to the end of February anyway. That gives me about 5 weeks of trading. So I'd like to get them back up closer to 5,000 and then take a couple from each of them as well. Okay, so maybe this is a break. There's nothing that interests me going short on that one or the other one anyway, although it may come down. I prefer to get another leg up, channel down, one attempt to go higher, second attempt. I wouldn't consider this. This just looks like it's pushing up to the top of the channel. So what I'd like to see is, you know, something, I don't know whether we will. This thing looks like it's on its way down. I'd like to see sort of something like that. And then see, we've had, this is ranging a bit. We've had a break out the range. Often that leads to one the other side. And in which case, if it does, we may get those two legs up. And then I'll be looking, if we do, I'll be looking for a fair old move then, certainly down to these lows. And that will be a penguin style trade. Differences with penguin, he waits for it to push below the EMA a lot of the times. Do you always take 2 contracts at a time? Yeah, it's kind of where I'm comfortable. I think it's enough. I think 2's enough, personally. You may say 1. I know Wilson trades 1. The thing is with Wilson, he doesn't take a set target. He'll just leave his stop and try and squeeze his stop down and secure more profit at a time. So what I like about it is going for 3 points is even if I could get 2 winning trades a week, that would, give me a nice income from from multiple peer accounts. If you can average 2, if you can get an 80% win rate, which if you take your time, it's not difficult at all. So, I mean, you take 10 trades over a month, you win 8 of them, 3 points, 2,700 minus fees. You lose 2, let's say you lose the 700, you're still up $2,000 by taking 10 trades over a month. Now, even if it's an awful month, things go wrong and you only earn half of that. $1,000 on 10 PA accounts is a fair chunk of money. And that's only on 10. If you're making money and you've got 20 accounts or possibly some with My Funded Futures, do you prefer having a runner? I'm not a fan of runners personally, and I'll tell you why. I watched a lot of Thomas Wade's live trades recorded live trades. A couple of 3 years ago when I started being aware of him, and I see him, take a short here, price comes down 8 points and comes back and stops him out, and I see him do that twice in a row, and I'm thinking, what is the point? You might as well guarantee the 2 points. So another reason as well, the longer you're in a trade, you've got more chance of something going wrong, whether it's the internet going off or whether it's unexpected news or something. So I kind of like to get in and out. Now, Mac, he's talked about that quite a few times. If you can afford to go for 4 or 5 contracts, and if I do it sometime later down the line, I may decide to have one as a runner, but they don't excite me. I know there's a chance you could get extra points and, you could get a massive move, but I see so many people, losing 2 or 3 points, sort of 8 times out of 10. So they don't interest me really. But, if I get to the stage where I'm trading 4 or 5 contracts, who knows, mate? Who knows? But I like getting in and out, I do. I don't like to mess around. I like me money and then I can relax again. So whether it's just down to... just down to the ride that I sort of don't want. I want to get in and out maybe. But Mac has said if you can only afford to go for 1 or 2 contracts, go for more than a point. The money just doesn't work out otherwise. You won't make money. You have to be an exceptionally good trader to make money going for a point. I tend to agree. I lose a runner before. Yeah, I've never added them up. Because I've never done them, I think sometimes learn by experience. But I've seen so many people with runners and they get stopped out, it goes for 3 or 4 points and they get nothing out of it. And I'm kind of thinking, you might as well just got your 2 points. At least it's guaranteed. So it's a personal thing anyway. I don't like being stuck in and around a trade for long. I know Dan didn't used to take him, but he does now. Having said that, if you're a good trader like Mac is or Dan is, and you can get into a really good setup, good solid setups really do go a long way. So maybe if you're an exceptionally good trader, is around 1 in 10 hit rate. Yeah. So I think for me anyway, going for 3 points, I'd rather guarantee myself 3 points if the trade obviously works. If I take 3 trades and I don't get a runner, I'm down 9 points there. So, every time I lose a trade, there's more and more I'm down to kind of get back to where I would be if I'd have just took the money. So I just prefer to take the money, But yeah, I'll have 6 accounts come tomorrow, and hopefully in My Funded Futures one. 2 of them are a bit over $2,000. There's 2 of them at $1,000. Bearing in mind, I have taken some out of I took 2,000 out of 3 of them. I've taken about another 2,000 out of them the month before. So I think I've had 3 payments off one and 2 payments off 2 others, I think. So I have had bits out of them. So they've... Excuse me a sec. I've got a dog whining in my ear. Okay, so I'm hoping we get another leg up here, and it looks like we may. So we have had a break. I wouldn't call that a new low or not even attempt, but it may be losing a bit of momentum. But if you can get 2 nice legs here, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a second leg down. We often do when we get this. So I'm looking for something like that, which would get down to this area. And if you look at the daily, we certainly could be in line for a pullback. And there's no arguing about that. You know, we're push, strong. And that is strong. We're very close to these highs. You know, we get a small pullback today, or even closer to the EMA. That would make sense. You know, it's got so far for the EMA. I'd kind of expect it to pull back before it pushed up and broke the highs. So we certainly could get another move down easily. That's assuming it does that. But you know, we've had one attempt to push up. I'd like to have another. Whether it'll work or not, I'll just put it like that. And if I look on other charts, everyone's looking at the same thing. So he's the same. He's the same. He's showing we may have a small break. Who knows? I mean, I wouldn't just take a short willy-nilly up here. You know, I'd want to be certain I know what I'm looking at. And we kind of are ranging to a degree. So, you know, these areas aren't off the cards, are they, to come down? I just hope they don't come down sooner rather than after we've had a push up. Yeah, somebody said Ben looks trappy for shorts. I agree. There is a short there. And because we're close to these lows, I would expect that to get stopped out. And if it does, it may push up. But there's also a bullish bar there. It's kind of like a breakout pullback. So that might get stopped out. And if we do get below there and we get below there, this thing may just come down before it has a chance to pull back. So it's just nice to see what other people are looking at. So Dan's looking at the same channel down with a break. It is a triple test, but it's not ideally. So if we can come down and get another, you know, this really is a small pullback. This is a push up and a bit of a rejection here. So I'd consider that as 1-2. If we can get up, that would be a much better triple test for me to push down for another leg. So my 2 pence worth here is there is a nice megaphone pattern on the 60 minutes looking like it's heading to the bottom of the end of it. Megaphone. Yeah, I don't trade patterns, but let's have a look. I'm not doing anything down here anyway. A megaphone pattern. Looks like a megaphone to you, does it? I don't know what it looks like to me. Megaphone. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, you're on about kind of like that. A megaphone, right? Yeah. A mental blank. So you're on about something like that, yeah. And is that a bearish pattern? Is it? Is that kind of how it works and then kind of drops out there? Looks like it's heading to the bottom. Okay, so if it does come down here for where it is now, that would take us down to, let's say, 61.35 for argument's sake, yeah? So 61.35. would be where's my 61.35 would take us down here, funnily enough. Yeah, would take us down to where I've got this measured leg. Now, you may even put your measured leg there, 2 legs up, in which case we're right on the money there, see? So you're looking at that and I'm looking at that, same sort of thing. So that's interesting. So to push down that far, I would prefer another proper attempt to push higher. At the moment, that's vulnerable. And if we can get above there, I think there's a good chance we hit that line. So yeah, interesting. I don't know whether I would go from there or there. The trouble is, if I go for there, this has got to come up. So I would say there, which is still taking us around about the same ballpark. So this is good now. This is what I want. So let's just remove this for a minute. This is what I'm after, this second attempt to push up. And then what I'd like it to do was then to drop below that EMA. So that would be about there. Yeah, okay, so leg and a leg. So I'm going to get an order ready just in
Order
case.
submitted.
So that to me, we have 2 legs down, just a little pullback, and then we have 1 attempt to push up, second attempt, and a third attempt. So I can take that down to there now, and that fits lovely actually. So if we can get a small break out of here and a bearish bar, you could fade it, depending on how far it went up. Okay, let's see what happens here. Have you noticed it does that? This is one of Mac's things. It actually kind of moves after we've broke the channel. Yeah, it's not brilliant, is it? Mm. See, on this one here, it's kind of a small risk. It's only 5 ticks, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't strike me as a place where people have sold because it's a bit neutral. As I say, it's only 5 ticks, so it's not a massive risk, but there's just something about it that's just not screaming at me, jump in. It could also break out above here, and then we could fade it then. In fact, I'll be inclined to push that to there, I think, and catch it a little bit higher. So there's a higher low there, so let's see if this triggers and comes down and stops out longs. So we've had a break of it and a new high. That would be a second entry short, but it's struggling a bit here. It's definitely trapping some longs, there's no arguing there. It's tempting that, isn't it? Phew. 10 ticks. I'm just not sure about this. There's something I don't like about it. For one, it hasn't triggered. It's triggered on my other chart, but it's on its way up. It's just something I don't like about it. It doesn't look like a terrible bar, but we've had a leg up with a break, so I'm just not sure at the moment. I prefer a lower high as a safer option. I mean, we know where that's going, don't we? So glad I sat back in it. So I'm pretty genuinely impressed with how much it improved. Your patience over the past year. It's noticeable change and makes a big difference. Well, thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Very kind of you to say. Hopefully we've all improved. Well, I think it's hard to say. You can't sit here year after year and not improve, I think. But patience, I think, is the one thing I thought I would struggle with most of all. And I seem to be pretty good at it at the moment. It's one of my stronger points. Discipline, pretty good as well. I still have those moments where I get a little bit impulsive just from time to time. And I put that down to purely just because the market moves quick, and sometimes you've got to act quick, and it can be confused with being, I mean, this looks like it's going to come down. It can be confused with being a bit impulsive, can't it? So, but I appreciate the comment, mate. Thank you. This looks like it is going to drop. I think the safe bet here would be, because it's still a little bit congested, I think the safest bet would be to give it a chance to trap another long here. It's broken below that higher low there, but it hasn't, come down a lot stronger there. So maybe we get a lower high, see what happens. Now, I know Penguin usually will take them when they close below there. Once it pushes down below the EMA, I think there's a better indication then this is likely to push down to the lows. But with this nice push up, these often lead to a really good move down. But it's just getting a little bit stagnant here, which is making me a bit nervous. So I'm just going to sit tight. You never know, it may just flick up at this and come up to this area. It's been up here before a few times, so it may want to, clear out some of this. I think if there was enough sellers there, price would have gone down by now. And it may well do. If it does push below there, you could try and catch it on a limit order. So you also got to take in mind the overall is generally bullish. So there's bound to be some stops above this. So let's see if we can trap some longs here. Trump would love to have them on his watch. Yeah, he would. Yeah, we're not far off. See, generally, if you look at that, this is a break. So, we're not far away. We've been up to what, 62 is the high, 72, 82. We're 20 points away from today's highs. So, you never know. But looking on the daily, it does look like we're due a pullback. But, that's just an educated guess. There's no facts there. It's just, price usually goes up so far. Once it gets above these EMAs, then sometimes it just, buyers maybe get a bit nervous and take profits, which gives us then that little pullback. So, but we've had a break of this and close to a new low. So, sometimes that's all it needs. You've just, I think after a while you just go on your gut feeling down to experiences telling you, I'm looking at this and something is making me unnerving. And I think if you listen to that inner voice, and that inner voice comes from experience of taking plenty of losses, do target 1-to-1 a trail. I go for 3 points, bud. So yeah, more or less. At the moment, the ATR's 2. But it depends on the circumstances. If I was taking a triple test here, there's 5-6 points to the low, so I would go for that. I looked at, in fact, I took a trade, was it a few days ago? And the ATR was low, and the plan was to get out for a couple of points. So that bearish bar there, if you took it, I'll be surprised if it won't break above there and stop you out. So at least we've had a leg now with a break and a clear new high. But sometimes if it's a strong position, it'll get close to it, but it won't break it. But I fear that one will. Yeah, it has done. But just get rid of that for a minute.
Cancelled.
I mean, this could come down now. But you don't know, really. Fairly triggered after new low attempt, yeah. I mean, this could drop now. But you've got to put shorts on hold just for a second. I think the safer option would be the lower high. We didn't get one. FOMO. Let's try and get a new high. But yeah, bearing in mind the overall is up at the moment. And I'm only talking about the last yesterday and today. So this is a break, isn't it? So, but there again, sometimes when we get a break, 2 attempts to push up, it may still fail. Or sometimes, Penguin, he has the break with 2 attempts to push lower, and that fails, which in turn pushes up. So it's just a little bit congested and a bit unclear about what price is going to do. Could come down now, or it could go up to this level here. Or indeed, it could completely reverse and push on up for the highs again. So there's another little bearish bar there. I'm staying out of shorts just at the moment. From the EMA. So there's a small bar there. It's only 4 ticks. Yeah, someone just said it's been tough lately. And it hasn't been the easiest trading conditions of late, has it? Back to the top to go short, yeah. It's only 4 ticks, I suppose, if people wanted to have a go at it. It's, it wouldn't be unheard of to come down, break below there. But I think the safer bet, as we've had a break and a new high and another push up, I think taking a lower high below that EMA would probably be a safer option. But I'm just sitting tight at the moment. It's a bit stagnant, so it could go up, it could come down. Let's push up with a break. We could have a leg and it may break these levels up here. I got no idea. What time is it? I've been going for 2 hours. I want to go and make a drink, but I'm just going to sit tight here just in case things change. I don't know what's Bookmap showing us at the moment. It doesn't look like a range anymore. This bit does. So you know what they say, ranges often break out, fail. So if it fails and comes in, but you just never know at the moment. There's a bit of a battle going on here, so it could still come down and push down, but at the moment I got no idea. But this part is, but never pick tops and bottoms. No, I'll pick them if we've got a clear triple test, and we've also have 2 legs up to it and a second entry. I'll pick them then, but at the moment this looks like it's trying to go higher, doesn't it? So if you took that one, even though it's only 4 or 5 ticks, still, sometimes even though it's only 4 ticks, if it's not a great setup, it's just no point in taking it. Let's have a quick look on Bookmap, see if that's showing us anything. Bookmap Live, yes. See, I don't fully know how to read these. So, see, what I don't get is we got some big orders up here and we got big orders down here, maybe slightly larger here. But is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Who knows? I mean, there's a certain amount of aggressive buyers and sellers, which obviously direct the market. We can see there's orders up here. There's about 600 orders within this little area here. But there's more than that here. So is price more likely to come down to that area? There's not a lot down here. So does that give you the impression that prices, if they do get to this level, are likely going to break? But what I find sometimes, as price starts to meander up, orders just start to get thicker and thicker up here, which tends to suck price. That's my taking on it anyway. I don't know a lot about Bookmap, to be fair, but it just, this thing strikes me as there's nothing down here. Price moves towards liquidity, I know, but high low of the fell, second entry short. Yeah. See, even as a higher low there, it's far from that EMA. But it worked up for a bit. Who knows? I'm not sure about this. I'm just sitting tight for a minute. In fact, I'm going to take a quick 5 minutes. See, looking on this chart, does look like a leg and a leg. So, on this chart, that looks more like a breakout that may fail. This looks very rangy, doesn't it? It looks neater, this, for some reason, and we've obviously hit this level as well. So, very close to it. Yeah, we have. So maybe this may fail. I don't know, though. Price action to me is king anything. Yeah, price action really, really speaks for itself. Now, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of time in price action where you don't know what's going on. But there's an answer to that. You don't trade. If you know what's going on, you take a trade. If you don't, you stay out of it. But yeah, I agree. Price action is kind of like numbers in a way. It doesn't lie. Now, there's obviously certain things that we may not control that could affect the markets. For instance, some kind of a news event which comes out. Now, you know, we know news event can affect any type of market, but price action, when you're reading it correctly and you're experienced, is so accurate, it's unreal. It scares me how accurate it is from time to time, but you know, there are plenty of times when price action isn't clear, and the simple thing to do is don't do nothing. And if you do it right, you can get a very high percent. I know Dan goes for 6 ticks, and I've heard him say his win rate is 96%. Now, it might not sound a huge amount for 6 ticks if he's risking double that. But I bet if he went up to two points and even 3, I bet that wouldn't come down much below 90. What is price action? Which can mean anything. Yeah, so how I understand price action from a price action trader is when you read price action, for instance, channels, you get a channel there. The first thing I learned about price action is 19 times out of 20, when price breaks out of a channel, it makes a new extreme. Now, if you don't know what extreme means, it just means it makes a new low after a downtrend. So we got a channel down there, we had a break of it, and we made a new low. We've got a channel up, we had a break of it, and we made a new high. Channel up, break, new high. So once you start to understand that, you can wait for setup. So we had a channel down there and a break and a new low. If we got a pullback there, 2 legs up in a bearish bar, we still consider that to make a new low. So if we get a decent setup and it's the overall bearish is down, trades like that just do not work. It's a little hard to explain it. You need to have a basic understanding and then just sit and watch price year after year and understand how it works. And when you do, and you're confident you know you're trading in the right direction, setups just very rarely wrong. Break. Primary was 2 ticks off. Yeah, so the trouble is, with experience, you get used to drawing better channels and you know, identifying when we have breaks. You know, sometimes bars can be ever so slightly different. For instance, if those 2 bars weren't quite as full, we could drag this down, in which case we may have already had a break in a new low. So there is a little variation that you've got to pay attention to. And sometimes I see Mac putting it through bars like that. So, you know, there is a little bit of discrepancy, but you can make that up. That little bit of discrepancy covers your losses, I think. 8% bias on that, and green time price continues. Yeah. But the more you do it, the more you realise how accurate it is. But what makes it fail is the trader taking riskier trades. I think when you've been trading a while, you know in your own mind whether you're taking something risky. Because what I find is when I see a beautiful setup, I don't hesitate. I just get straight into it. And I'm telling you now, when you see those trades, they do not fail. You know, if you put a load of trades in front of me, there was some really brilliant trades and some poor trades. I could tell you which were the really solid trades. Now, trading them in real time yourself, there's obviously an emotional attachment to that as well, and that affects how and when you pull the trigger. But if Mac put some high probability trades in front of me, some average trades and some crap trades, I tell you now, I'll get them right 19 times out of 20. So it's not like when you get a bit of experience, you can't make it work. What lets you down is patience giving in a little bit, and maybe after a loss, your discipline drops a bit. But it's the common denominator why trading doesn't work. Is the trader. And that's unfortunately why it takes so long, because you're battling that inner demon, which is not a natural trader inside you. Look, analysis paralysis. Well said. Yeah, but I mean, we don't get a lot of what I call really obvious great setups. I don't know. We had one maybe last week. Was it last week or the week before? We had a perfect 2 legs up, absolutely beautiful, and it came down like a ton of bricks. So I took Phil's second entry short, second entry long. I chopped back 5 minutes ago, and it was on a sim. Didn't have the nerve to take it live. Frisky analysis told me it would work. Should have trusted my gut. Yeah, gut instinct. Gut instinct comes from experience. So, yeah, it's quite hard to explain it sometimes. I use the analogy of driving because it makes sense to me. You know, most of us know how to drive, but you need a bit of experience to do it on instinct and gut feeling. You know, sometimes you're driving down the road and you can see someone who's waiting to turn out. Sometimes by the look on their face or their eyes, you can just tell if this person's likely to pull out on you. It's just something that comes with experience. And it's the same thing. See, I tend to go on how I feel now. If I like it, there's no hesitation. I jump straight in. If I have a feeling that something doesn't feel right, I listen to that now. Sometimes it'll keep me out of trades. There was one here that I got out of that I didn't get into. Which one was it? I didn't have it on my other chart. Was it down here? I can't remember now. I stayed out of it because price was coming away, but it worked. And sometimes it does. So just because a trade works doesn't mean it was a good trade. You know, you could take, if market's rocketing up, you can take a short trade, you know, something you would never do and it still might work. Something calls it a sure thing. With him, it sure means simply like, yeah. But I will say I've been trading long enough to know now when you get a really good setup, they do not fail. And you know when them is because you can't click the button quick enough. So my mouse drying up now for all the talking. So we're hitting support here, so this may come down. You could say this is a break and an attempt to go lower and 2 attempts to push higher. So if we got a break or a lower high below the EMA, I would have a go at that. So we are finding some support here, but, you know, I don't know. This strikes me as the thing that's going to fail. It's losing a bit of momentum, I think. So we've been up here. This is the third time now. So I'd want that push below the EMA, really. Or we could come down and have a second push up. The two legs I talk about, the penguin, they could be like this. They could be like this. And then it may fail. So when I was looking at these two legs, it clearly didn't work because it came down. It never closed below the EMA, but it pushed up. So we could end up having something slightly on the larger size. One frustrating aspect of Max is, what he's doing in real time. Yeah, and he won't share. I'll tell you why I believe he doesn't share his trading. Because as you develop as a trader, you find your own way of doing things. And Mac will be taking trades that will be outside the rules. And if he does that, he'll get 1,000,001 emails saying, why'd you take that? It wasn't a second entry short. Why'd you take that? It wasn't a failure. But after you've been trading a while, you notice things, and you notice when something might not be, the context might be telling you something very strong, but the signal bars might not be fantastic. And I think that's why he does. So when you teach somebody something, you're a trainer or you're a school or you're a college or a university, you have a syllabus. People are taught a certain way, and you have to teach them that way. And then when they learn it, they go out and kind of find their own way of doing things. But you have to have a set program when you're, teaching something. You can't just, wing it from experience. There's a set syllabus which has got to be followed. It's the same for schools, universities, colleges. And then when you've learned what you need to learn, you go out into the big wide world, and then you kind of find your own way of doing things. And trading's it's probably a really good example of that, trading. I see certain things happening, may not be a great signal bar, but I say to myself, this is definitely coming down, and sure enough, it does. So maybe trading on gut feeling in the future is going to play more of a part. So I'm just going to take a quick 5 minutes. Make a quick cup of tea, and I'll be back in about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, sorry about that. There we go. Okay. Did I miss? Not a lot. Okay, yeah, see, it's important to remember we've had a break and already made an attempt at a low and just thinking this is likely to go down. You never quite know what's going to happen. So, as I say, the overall is up. So, you just never quite know what's going to happen. Let's have a look. So, I think we can assume we got a channel up here. That looks okay to me. So, bouncing off overnight highs. I mean, it could push down there. It could still come south, couldn't it? There's always a possibility. Wouldn't expect it to go much further, though. That's quite a bit of a retracement off that, isn't it? Right, we're right at that 61.8 level, so if it's going to pull back from there, that's where you kind of expect it to happen. But yeah, there's not a lot of volume today, is there? Not a lot at all. I mean, it's still a bit early, I suppose. Yeah, what time is it? Yeah, it's only kind of coming up midday. What time are UK time? So we're coming up 5 o'clock UK time, which is about there. So yeah, I suppose we had similar the day before. I don't know why. Is it just, with the way things are at the moment, with Trump taking a people hesitant? I don't know. Yeah, see, Dan's got that as something a bit tighter from there. Let's have a look. It's not overly different. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's got that about there. There's not a lot of difference between there and the bottom, really. So I'm going to take that up to there. So really, I think overall, really, we had that push up, we had that drop, push up, drop, push up. At the moment, it's more or less just ranging currently. Now, whether you never know, we may get a couple of legs back and we may end up getting something larger, but at the moment, really just ranging, aren't we? So we've sort of managed to get above here. So you'd think this area will be retested. So I'll be looking for a break, a couple of legs back, and then to continue on higher. So if we do get a couple of legs back, put that there, couple of legs, something bigger, who knows? There's one or two channels here, but they're all more or less working sort of simultaneously. So there's no real difference in all. Honestly, they can line up perfectly. So I'll leave them both. That one can just sit there. So this would be the area you would naturally think price is targeting. But I wouldn't expect it to get in there in one push. ATR is getting very low again. Yeah, so I did pick up a my funded futures account yesterday. So people talk about my funded futures and take profit trader being two of probably the best around at the moment. The only thing I see is my funded futures works out at $97, and that's for the evaluation, and there's no fee when you move on to the PA account. So 97 flat. You can save 5% if you pay ACH, which I think is just for you. Excuse me, just for you US guys. So it takes it down to I don't know, still $90 for everything. So take profit trader it's come down from 107 to 85, 50% off, but apparently you still then have to pay $130 for the PA fee, which takes it to over $200. So it's more than double the price of my funded futures. Now, Apex at the moment, 50% off, which is $85 or whatever it is, and then $85 for the fee, which takes it to $170. So my funded futures is by far the best at the moment. I don't quite know why people rave about take profit trader when there's the initial fee and then $130 for the... I don't quite get it. I had to sort of ask around because I thought down from 170 to 85, 50% off, surely that has to be including any PA fees, but it's not apparently. There's PA fees on the top, so so for me, really, you know, I know some people have issues with Apex. I know there's a lawsuit, there's a civil lawsuit they're in at the moment with a guy that had something to do with designing the software or owns the software. I don't know. A lot of these companies are having a civil suit with, you know, disgruntled employees or something or other or whatever. I don't know what will come of it. One thing I do understand about courts, what little I understand about courts and lawyers and solicitors and all that is that these things are never quick. They take a couple of years. And then even if they lose, they're going to have to pay them off. But my understanding is they're making about $15 million a week, Apex, so they ain't going to be short of money. And if it's so profitable, you wouldn't expect a company like that to end up going into liquidation. So I'm not worried about Apex. I still think it's good to diversify. You know, I've got 5 accounts, 6 tomorrow. So I still think it's, you know, I want to get a couple of my funded futures. You know, it's good not to have all your eggs in one basket, I think. I'm just surprised Apex, with all the things that have been going on, they haven't come out with some sort of super sale. They've kind of quietened down into the background. Maybe that's how they want it at the moment. Who knows? So let's see if we can get 2 legs back here. When I noticed that ATR was down, we're getting lots of little bars slowly grinding up. And funny enough, Dan's just mentioned, yeah, the best thing to do is, what did he say? I feel like it's one of those types of super strong trends where you can more or less just enter every time you see a bar. I wouldn't suggest that. The trouble is, whenever you hear Mac talk about that and you realise we've had a super strong trend, usually it's already been and done. You want to see it before you realise you've got one. That, to me, I wouldn't necessarily sticks out as a super strong trend. It's clearly moving up at the moment, but no different than that one or that one. But I would like to see a couple of legs down. That's quite a bit of rejection off there, isn't it? It's around about overnight highs. It's just broken above it. That's what I mean, though. Was it the 68.1 retracement level? No, it went higher than that, didn't it? But that's quite a decent pullback, that is. Oh, it isn't a super strong. Okay, it feels like. Oh, sorry, yeah, it isn't one of those. Okay, yeah, okay, fair enough. I never read it properly. Yeah, well, it's a bit early, isn't it, for a super strong trend? I mean, really, you know, usually they kind of go in a curve, very small, don't they? But kind of like that. But it's not going up very far. So depends how you've got this. If you take that one away, some may say there's a small overshoot there. I think you have to pay that into attention. Okay, yeah, someone else has said small overshoot. Has anybody else? Yeah, see, Dan's got it like that tight. So, you know, as we know, with an overshoot, it can reverse price or it can send it into a deeper correction. That's a fair old move down, really. For such a small trend. What's that? It's down 6 points. As I say, we've had this. I mentioned earlier, we could get this before it pushes down again. If you look on the daily, we're certainly in line for a reasonably sizey pullback. Look at this thing. So channel break, new low. That's cleared up any. So I wonder if it'll get down to there. So if you've had any stops there, thinking this thing was going up, took them out, took them out, took them out. Now there's going to be stops above there, granted. Will it break below there? Leg down, leg down. I think it's a good chance. Yeah, surely. It's going to drop below there. So it's bounced there. So you have to assume then that's an overshoot which has caused that to do that. I would have suggested there's nothing else I can see. It hasn't hit any sort of main area of support. There's a bit there, but it got above it. And then it just dropped. So you'd have to say that push up and a big bullish bar there, there's likely to be some liquidity below there. So one would assume that would have get eaten up. Hit today's open price, did it? Today's open price. See, I got today's open price here. A fell breakout over a high. It's possible, yeah. See, I got the openers here. Today's openers here. Overnight highs there. I thought overnight highs, but it may have pushed above the overnight highs and then rejected from it. So that may be a reason. Ultimately, we kind of all have our ideas. But you never quite know, do you? I mean, it has pushed above overnight highs. Now, these overnight highs and lows do act, and if you watch Penguin and watch his analysis, that guy is borderline a genius, I've heard him describe. Those overnight highs and lows perform a massive detail of his trading day, and it's pushed above it. And whether it's rejected it or what's caused that, I don't know. Maybe there's a bit of an overshoot. Could be a multitude of things. We know if you have an overshoot, it can reverse the market, or at least temporarily. So, channel break, new low or two pushes to a new low. It's taken out any liquidity that was sat along there. You'd like to think there'd be stops there, certainly there. Maybe heading for these highs, and it's turned and taken all that lot out. So we have a couple of pushes up. I mean, you know, if you look on the daily, it looks like we're due for a decent pullback. That wouldn't be unheard of, would it? And fun enough, would actually take us down right to the lows. So let's make sure we get this accurate. So yeah, that would take us down to the lows. So something like that, I'd expect a bit of a pullback, and then slipped in the first trade of the day, went short at 51.64, right at the very top. You did well there. Assuming you're out of it, are you, Nick? I'm assuming you must be. Mind you, it's not dropped as much as you think. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. We're only 17 points down from overnight highs. You know, after we've hit overnight highs, it's not a lot actually. That ATR is so low. So I'm going to extend that, and I'd be looking for a couple of attempts to push higher. So I'm going to open up an order just in case we get something submitted. Quick. I took the second entry long for the snapback to the EMA. It was trading 3 days. See, I like that. That screams patience. I think I had a day, was it a couple of weeks ago? Or was it leading up to Christmas, where I took one trade in all week? But I don't mind that sometimes. I think it's a good exercise. I haven't taken a trade for the last 2 days. But I feel quite good about it, because I had 10 winning trades in a row leading up to Christmas. My accounts went up lovely. And everything was great, and I got a payout, and then I think I just stepped off the pedal a touch, and then I seemed to have a couple of 3 losses, and it just messed with me head a little bit. When you're winning and winning and winning, you feel on top of the world, nothing can go wrong, you know exactly what you're doing, and then you take a couple of losses and you start to doubt yourself, and I think my patience took a little bit of a hit. So what I need to do is, if I take a loss, or the next loss I take, I won't say if I take a loss ever again, the next loss I take, I want to make a sort of, you know, a really well-focused decision to sit and wait till I see an absolute beauty trade. Because sometimes, you know, trading really well is sometimes like walking on a tightrope. It's very easy to slip off that top. And sometimes, because there's just a little bit with, you know, there's a slight amount of movement that will take you from a patient trader to a not a patient trader, and sometimes you don't kind of notice it happen. So I think really after a loss, it's a good idea to focus on waiting for a great setup next, because that kind of gets you straight back on the saddle. And I think that's what happened. I took a payout, I got nice and relaxed, and I took my foot off the pedal a little. And I think that's probably what led me then to getting a few trades. I think, did I take 2 or 3 in a row? 2 losses. I think it was 2 losses. But even 2 losses sometimes can feel like you kind of, you've almost taken a step back in your journey. Okay, so leg and a leg. Let's see how this reacts. That doesn't look too bad, I don't think. It is a bit congested there. Let's see what happens. Something that's making me hold on here. It is working. It's all right. My other chart didn't look so rosy. she did wait 9 months for me. Someone else said they took it nice second entry short. It's too late now, I think, and it's gone too far, I think. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a bit flat there. It did work. See, I go for, what would I have gone for there? Probably a bit less than 3 points. May have got me 2. See if we get a lower high, as long as you haven't broke these lows yet. Get a lower high. That's what made me a little bit nervous. I'm not a fan of that lower high if it works. Push down and across. I've got caught out in trades like this before. I prefer a bit much of a push-up. I think this is going to break above here. I would prefer that. So I'm going to stay out of this. Push down and across. I've got caught out in trades like this before. So I'm going to, if this triggers, I'm going to sit and wait because I've got caught out in trades like this before. I call them down and across. I can't think of any of the name from, but I would like to see that push up a little bit more. Push up, sideways, push up. It's kind of like a mirror image. This, personally, I think it's risky. Don't listen to me. If you like it, take it. If it's something you'd take it. Don't listen to me because it may come rocketing down. But I've been caught out like this before. I call them down and across lower highs. So I've been caught out a few times. So when I see it that close, I leave it alone because I prefer a slightly bigger pullback. Now, it is a lower high and it's bound to have triggered traders, but I've been caught out with this before. I couldn't think of another name. I call them down and across. In other words, it's a very close lower high to this one. So I would prefer to break above both of these and then give us a bearish move down, which I think we'll still get. You call it a double trap. Yeah, well, there's no real longs in here, really, as such, is there? Just two bearish bars there. But the fact that it's so close, I can't see traders taking a trade long there in the middle of a downtrend. I can't see any other longs here that haven't already been stopped out. It still may work, but I've been caught out with these before. I would much prefer it to break out of this, hit this level, take that stop out, and then give us something bearish, two legs up for another move down, a full leg down, which should take us to the same place as that larger move, I'm guessing. Very close. It's getting a bit messy in here, so let's tidy this up. But leg down, one leg up, second leg up, bearish bar, and then right down. Yeah, I mean, just a fact taking it anyway. It's congested anyway, so there's a reason enough not to take it. Time of day is crappy now. New York lunch. Yeah, it is that time, isn't it? But we've had that push up. Hit this level. We've had rejection there for whatever reason, whether it's the overshoot, whether we've pushed above overnight highs, it's dropped, or whatever reason, really, I don't know. But I expect a leg and a leg down. Overall, there may be, something like that. I don't know. It looks a bit vague to me at the moment. Your bars look different. They did earlier, Bud, but I reset them and they look the same as, I know Dan said mine looked a bit different earlier. S&P is only down 0.4%. Yeah, we're still we're up for the, well, I mean, we're well into this December here, aren't we? Where's the daily? I'm going to pop this out of the way a bit. In fact, let's just get rid of it.
Order cancelled.
Yeah, see, December came in here, didn't it? And then we had that drop, actually, didn't we? But now, yeah, we've recovered most of it. I just think after such a strong move up with such a big push up like that, surely we're going to have a pullback before we break these highs. We may not, but it really hasn't done a lot today. I mean, this is the daily and it's as good as a doji. Well, it is a doji. It hasn't really done anything. It's gone up a bit, come down a bit, and it's sort of sitting right in the middle. So I don't know. Are people not sure what's going on? I would like to see a pullback on that on the daily, which obviously would mean this comes down significantly more. I'd like to see another leg up to this area before I would consider going short there, down again, which would be somewhere around about there. Leg, great place to go short here if it's giving us the right signal, then down for a second leg. Close to the top of this, that measured leg, which would be around about there, which kind of would fit with that, but that's an idea. Whether it'll work or not, I don't know. But that's one move up for me. I'd like to see a second. But price has bounced off the open. It's bounced once there and there again. But the way we've had this leg down and a breaking attempt into this push up and a big drop down, if we can get a couple of attempts and a decent enough signal bar to go short, I'd like that for a second leg. So let's just tidy this up a bit. So this takes us up here somewhere, just below here, above here I would have had to say. So something like that. It would have to get up close to this high for me, because so many times it'll come up and take out these highs before it goes lower. There's always a possibility it could take out that there, and that kind of would be better, because you can see there is a little bit of support there. So I would have to steer clear of anything around about here. If I was going to take a short, it's got to be up close. I know that is a kind of a makeshift line, but it kind of falls where that second leg would be. See, I mean, it could be down here. It's knowing where you think it's going to be. In fact, I'm going to remove that because it's going to affect my bias. That bar there that I would have avoided is risky as hell, I think. It's one of those down and across ones. How far did it go down for? So if you took it a tick below there, you wouldn't have got a point. It would have to push through. So I expect that to get stopped out. I've got no issues with that one getting stopped out as well, but it's got to get a bit further up here. I'd like it to tick above this, really, and then drop, which would take that possible out. Let me get an order ready just in case, but I think we're still going to get a new low from this, and the way this is looking, leg and a leg. That's got to get stopped out for sure for me. That's a risky as hell trade there. You wouldn't have got a point on that. It's got to push through unless you got in on a limit order. But that's got risk written all over it. Still wouldn't take one here. It would have to get above that at least for me. Funnily enough, we've got a big overall channel. Yeah, let's put that there. Big channel, 2 attempts to go lower, 2 legs down, which would take us to this level here, and then up. Well, the daily looks like the daily looks like it needs a pullback, and this is a leg and a leg come down to this area before we push higher. So that's making a lot of sense to me. So that's got stopped out, which I wanted. That one would be a bonus. That one would be even better. Okay, that's taken that out. Now let's see what happens. It's ticked above there, which is taking any possible shorts out there. Let's see what happens here. The only issue I have here is this is a little channel. Trouble is, it's in a channel. Well, you could argue we've had a small break out of it. It's not in a rush to come down now. That's my worry. As I say, remember I mentioned this earlier, we could get a leg and a leg before it pushes down. Just had a little bit of a panic there. I looked at my chart above and thought, that's about to trigger me. This is the daily. Spooked me, that did. Fuck, let's get rid of that for a
Order
minute.
cancelled.
Oh, you went short, did you? It's not the easiest of days. It did work, that, not for much. So if you got on a tick below there, which is about there, in fact, it's actually a little bit less, isn't it? There's about a tick. You wouldn't have got your 2 points, depending on whether you got in or not. Some would have held for the lows. So it just didn't look like a fantastic setup there. It wasn't terrible, but it is a little bit congested, and that may have had something to do with why it didn't follow through. I don't know. Who knows? So I think overall at the moment, it's just really the best part of a range day, isn't it? It's working within kind of a 20 point top to bottom, which is not huge. It's relatively tight in a day, isn't it? 22, 23 points top to bottom. Especially based on what we've seen. I mean, that was something else, wasn't it? 5, 10, 50, 20, 25, 30. Yeah. That was kind of from lows to highs yesterday. 51, not a huge move, but the ATR's been low, but you know, we've had up and up and up, haven't we? Every day, and this is kind of the most stagnant day we've had for a while. As I say, if you look at the bigger channel, we could certainly have 2 attempts to push lower. What's going on here? Okay, so look, this thing's just dropping. You see, it's hard to say. I mean, there's a little triple top there, but it's hard to see stuff like that come. Isn't it? Where the hell does it come from? All of a sudden, we've hit an area there. Let's have a look. Yeah, see, market open was here. There is a bit of support there, and the thing is just dropping. We've actually, I mean, we're talking about overnight highs there. We managed to push just above them, then it dropped. Once we got close to them again, it's dropped. But, you know, even if you were short in this area, that's been all cleaned out now anyway. So I don't know. I don't know. This thing looks like it's on its way down for a second leg. Unfortunately, the way it's going down, I can't see it giving us an entry for this second leg. You know, my gut feeling we're going to have a leg and a leg, but look at this. No entry. Just drops. So let's work out where it could go. So I'd certainly expect it to tackle the lows, yesterday's highs. But we've been up there before. We've been up to yesterday's highs. Yeah, maybe. But we've been above this plenty of times, so I don't know, maybe. Who knows, really? But we got above there and dropped. We dropped rather largely. I mean, 3 big bars straight down. I mean, ATR's low, so they're not going to be huge, but it's still 6.5 points straight down. And really, even to, you know, you couldn't fade that as a range gone way too far, really. And then all of a sudden, we're pushing up, and then 3 bars were down, no entry. So I'd expect that to come down to this level now. Keep still. Twice we've pushed up there and rejected quickly. So my gut feeling now is this is going to come down, take out this areas and target this low, and we may get a leg and a leg down of the overall. So if we can get a second entry there or something, you know, I wouldn't be oblivious to considering that. Although pictures, the trouble is, the more clear the picture is, the more people don't hesitate to just get in. Accept price action traders, of course, will accept us. It'd be nice to get a second entry, retest this out, retest the midline, and then come down. See, I've got my funny futures evaluation. I could just sell that there and take a risk, put me stop here, and hopefully we can get out the bottom. But let's have a quick look at the NQ. What's that showing us? Similar picture. We're actually at the lows. Tell you what I'm going to do.
Order filled. Order filled.
I still think it's likely we break these lows. Karina. Now, I've just took an entry on my funny futures account above my head. Let's see what happens here then. I still like to see that other leg down. So we've got a channel with a break. Let's see what happens here. So channel with a break. Let's see if we get another bounce down here. I mean, we had a significant push down there. Push back up as well and hit an area here, and market just dropped again.
Target filled.
Quick couple of $100 on my funded futures. It's not an easy day again today. It's been really choppy lately. This is relatively choppy. I didn't see that coming, just to push up and then just to drop like that. I was hoping we'd get a continuation down from this, because, you know, the overall with up, a couple of legs back, a couple of attempts to go lower, maybe clear out this area before another push up, maybe.
Order filled.
Jumping short again on the what's it? I just want to get below this bar here.
Order
Okay.
filled.
Just taking a short here. There's a bullish bar there off the bottom. That to me is a bit vulnerable, so I'd like to see this come down here. It's not for much, so we'll see. It's an evaluation, that one. Oh, dear, really? Come on. losing confidence in this one. Let's get out for a little bit.
Target filled.
Another 150 there. It is pushing down to that. Yeah, I wouldn't have taken a long here. It's a vulnerable list, so I think this is likely to push down. I just didn't know where it'd have a little bit of pullback, so I had enough in the tank. So that's up quite nice today, that is. At my funded futures. So I'm about $1,300 off passing that one, so that's going to break below that bullish bar, hopefully. Well, that's what I was looking at. What can you do here? Not a lot, really. I would like to see a second leg. I'd like to see this leg back. We've been up. We've struggled again, and this thing to me is struggling to get up. So I think there's a good chance we come down, test these lows, get this measured leg down. It's just when it's going to do it. Is this a breakout pullback? I just can't trade this stuff, to be honest with you. I'll trade it aggressively on an evaluation, but I don't want to put me live accounts through this because I know what I think. Trouble is, if I wait for that trigger and went short here, it could push up here, or it could come a bit higher before it comes down. If it comes down, I know what I think, and what I think prices overall telling me. It's given me a good interpretation of where it's coming down, but I wouldn't want to take that because it's so far from that EMA. But I would suggest with getting rejection up here, that is vulnerable. And that is, so we've had a push down, a couple of attempts to push high, and I think then this will come down lower towards this. So bars like that, I think, will disappear soon. That hasn't broken, so it's just when it'll do it, and will it stop me out in the meantime? Channel down, one attempt to push up, second attempt to push up, may go here, or it may come up a bit higher, but I don't really want to get into a short just above that, although that's vulnerable enough to be triggered and stopped out. Once it gets below here, if it gets below there, next level's down here, I think then we'll get that second leg or the best of it. But like I say, that's just gut feeling from sitting here day after day. But although, I got an idea that that's likely to happen, I don't want to take a trade on what's likely. I want to take a trade on one almost certain. Because it is quite choppy and it's a lot sideways around here, so you never quite know if things are going to turn. But sometimes I look at areas that are vulnerable and that will give me an indication, and that I wouldn't want to take a long off that with this big push down, a couple of legs up and another big push down, telling me this thing is starting to loop down. So that stop for me would be vulnerable. No, that's a good point, Tony, actually. It's always nice to have a green day or a 0 day on a Friday. It's Burns night tomorrow, so I haven't had a bottle of whiskey for about 5 days, I think. Or I haven't had a drink of whiskey for 5 days. So I'll be going out and buying myself a nice bottle of single malt ready for Burns night, grab myself a haggis ready for tomorrow. So any of you of Scottish descendants or haggis or Scottish or whiskey fans, keep that in mind tomorrow. But I love haggis. If anybody doesn't know what it is, it's almost like it's made from offal, which is sort of heart, liver, kidney, lungs, and oats and some spices. It's actually a really nice dish. Have it with a little bit of mashed potato and, well, they call it tatties and neeps, but I just use mashed potato and then maybe some mashed up. London. No, I'm in Shropshire, bud. If you're talking about me, I'm in Shropshire. So we got that coming tomorrow, Burns night. So we usually get a little bit of Scottish bagpipe music going in just for effect, and then sink a few whiskies. But there's some bad news in our house at the moment. My wife's getting the taste of single malt, which isn't a good thing. It just means my bottles last half as long. Yeah, Shropshire I am, bud. In fact, most of you, I've said this before, we'll probably, we got history from where I'm from, a town in Shropshire called Shrewsbury, where Charles Darwin was from. Martin Luther King Day. When was that? A few days ago? Yeah. I finished, I had a bottle of, what was it? Was it Lafroig Select? And I finished that. I think it was Lafroig Select. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Charles Darwin. He went to school here. In fact, it's our library now. You can go and see our library. It's right opposite. It's about 15 yards from an 800-year-old castle. You can go up to, in the library, the old stone building, and go into his classroom. So there's quite a bit of history from where I'm from. Slow, isn't it? See, lunch is finished, isn't it? Or close to, you think? I still think price will come down. It'll break below these, and I'd expect another leg, I think. Target these areas before then it decides what it's going to do. But it's not the easiest day. I don't think that was a terrible trade. It was a hidden second entry short. Something's concerning me about price isn't closing on those two bars below that midline. So I didn't know whether this thing was going to push a bit higher. It did, but you would have got a couple of points out of it. So I still think it was worth the trade, depending on what you go for. Yeah, see, if you got in there, it would tick through and you'd have got 2 points, but no more. And I always think it's good practice to get out before the bodies of the bars. I don't usually wait here depending on what I'm looking for, but my experience is if you get out where the bodies are, usually you're okay, and in that case you were. Did you really? Same school as Isaac Newton. There's another name from history. See, the thing is, I mean, I don't know where you live, but I know in my town I used to walk past that library, which was Charles Darwin's school, and an 800-year-old castle the other day in the other side of the road. I did that for a few years. I used to walk past there every morning and never even looked up. It's kind of the way it is sometimes in your hometown. It could be steeped in history, but because you see it every day, you don't take much interest after a while. But I also lived down in Winchester for a few years, and that place is also steeped in history. Used to be the capital city of London. Capital city of England before London. And Winchester Cathedral there's the bones of St Swithun's, and loads of bones of kings and queens buried there. In fact, when the Saxons came over and invaded, they smashed up all the bones and mixed them all. And when I went down there last, I think it was last year, they had a few white tents and loads of these sort of science experts, and they were going through all the bones to kind of work out what bones belong to what kings and queens, so they could sort of rebow them. So there's a lot of history down there as well. Quite so to the close to the south coast as well. It's like watching paint dry now, isn't it? But less interesting. So there's probably a couple of legs down. There's probably going to be a few stops there. There is a bit of support there. I don't know. There's probably bound to be some traders buying that leg down with a break and a new low, which is triggered, and you'd have to say that's going to go, and if that goes, it might give it that little bit of momentum enough to push through there, and then that then may drop, have a little pullback, and then come down some more. But we broke below there now anyway, so you would have to say the chance of this coming down now is just improved. But we may get a little pullback. Sometimes we do, don't we? Break out, pull back, trap some longs, and then down some more. But we're not a million miles away from the lows. 39. We're 8 points away. It looks like a lot more, doesn't it? But that ATR is quite low. So we're 8 points now from the lows of the day. And this second leg, less than that. So my guess is now we're having these two legs. So it kind of makes sense just to look at, doesn't it? We've got this channel working up. We had a break of it. And we know a lot of times when we have these breaks, we have a couple of legs, which is two attempts to move down. And then when we hit that second leg, we're going to reach maybe a bit more support here. So you'd have to think then we'd push up, break these highs, and then target that all-time highs, which we're only really 30 points off from where we currently are now, 33 points, 34 points. So that's my take on the day. I mean, the overall is up, but I would like to see a little bit of a pullback on that daily. We may even come a bit more, depends. Depends. So I'd expect a little pullback here, trap some longs who are fading this, and then that drop down. So channel break, 2 pushes to a new low. So this is played out now. Okay, this may just drop. We're literally 5 points now from the measured leg. So overall, really, more or less a range day. We had that open, pushed up. Do we have any news there? I'm not quite sure. What caused that? That was like a 5-6 point buy. It's not huge actually. We had that kind of correction, retest, and then we pushed up. Eventually broke the highs of the day, and then we've for the latter part or the middle part of the afternoon. Well, let's call it late morning. With a break, a second attempt to push higher, just couldn't get up, and now this thing's coming down. You'd have to anticipate that measured move's going to get hit, and then those two have technically played out. So it'd be interesting to see if we get the rejection off the bottom to then push this market back up to test the highs of this channel and highs of the day, and at some point today, tomorrow maybe, up to all-time highs. So that was what I was looking for there, a short there to stop out that. It started going a bit sideways. I got out for a small profit, but it did eventually make that second leg down. But I done all right on that today. That's up all right, that is. It's just an evaluation, but it's an expensive evaluation. It's about $90, but if you pass it, you don't have to pay for a fee for the PA. That's how much it is. But if you fail it, it's an expensive failed evaluation. So I tend to play those a little bit more sensible than I do evaluations from Apex being $35. So we're below there now. I anticipate 2 legs back and some buying off that there's going to be a bit of support there. So we're only a couple of points, 2.5 points off this measured move. Okay, pending 1.25, 1.5. So we're a point off there now. So it's getting pretty close. 2 ticks away. A tick away. There we go. Brilliant. So 2 legs. Now, are we going to get any rejection here? So pretty much range day, but you can clearly see 2 legs down. So we dropped below there, and we had a little bit of a push up there. So we didn't break below it. Let's see what happens here. Often when you get, as we know, when we get these, that first kind of bullish bar, it triggers and comes down. It's like those channels I talked about there when we get a bearish bar and you buy. And usually it just pushes up. But as we've hit that area there, I thought if we're going to get any rejection, that's where it's going to be. We hit that measured move, and now look, there's some buying there. So is that going to hold? I mean, if you wanted to have a punt at a long trade from there, that wouldn't be a bad place to take it. Missed my 10 points by getting stopped out. It is frustrating when that happens, isn't it? Stops you out and ends up going in the same bloody direction that you anticipate it going. It is annoying. See, that daily is showing us that we could quite easily have a really strong move back. So more often than not, that first bullish bar gets stopped out. I don't know if it will, because there's buyers came in there. I mean, if you're trading that for the measured move and you hold for the measured move, you'd like to think you'd be getting out around there. So let's see if we get a higher low. The buyers are weak, are they really? What's that daily looking like now? Yeah, we could, yeah, say this is the daily. Let's just get rid of that. So let's say we may get a pullback around here. Is this the daily? Oh, this is the NQ daily. Okay, let's change that around. Yeah, we're very close to these highs, and that is quite a strong move up. I mean, if you're trading that up there, we're getting up to these highs. Is this an area where you're going to think about taking profits? You know, I don't swing trade or anything, but maybe, in which case we could get a pullback. I mean, it wouldn't be shocking to get 50, 80 or 100 points back there. Whether it'll happen or not is another thing. But this thing could certainly, the arse could certainly fall out of it. Now, there is a higher low there, which would be a better indication, but I don't pick tops and bottoms. I'm not very good at it. I don't know if there's any type of a channel there. There may be. But that measured move is played out, which is another reason it may hold. That's what I was looking for from here. If we could get 2 legs there, push down for that second leg. Unfortunately, we didn't get anything. It just went up and then turned and dropped. And then there was no entry really, but that's kind of what I was looking for. 2 attempts to push up and fail, but that second attempt went up well further than I would like to go short, and then unfortunately it just turned up, bounced 3 times, and then down it came. Little bit of a pullback and then down again. See, on my other chart, there's a second entry short there, 2 legs up. The only issue I have with that is 1, measure the legs played out. 2, there's going to be a bit of support here. And 3, we're not quite far back enough to that EMA. And this is on my other chart, and it's a little bit stacked. So if I was going to take a short there, I'd want that right up here somewhere. But you never know. That daily is looking like we could get a significant pullback. I wouldn't be shocked if I came back to this market later and this thing, the arse had fallen out of it and down it came. But excuse me a sec. Sorry about that. Let's have a look. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Tried to go lower 3 times, but I'm staying out of this. What time is it now? Oh, okay. I can't trade. Can I not? Oh no, I'm done. I can't trade. Mine, I didn't realise it was 6 o'clock. My shut-off point is 6 o'clock. So I am done, folks. So Friday, another day. So that's it for the week. So it's been a quiet couple of 3 days, but that's okay. I ain't got a problem with that. It's not been the easiest. It's not been the easiest for trading, to be honest with you. So I will love you and leave you. So you too, Daryl. So have a great weekend, everyone. I'll be back on Monday. Hopefully we might have a more of an active week. Be interesting to see what next week brings. So I will leave you to have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll catch up on Monday. Bye for now.